Hi, Amy.
Hey, how's it going?
Amy, episode 2. I'm already tired. Okay. Okay. So, Amy, tell folks a little bit about you, and then I want to drop you into the deep end of a hypothetical scenario and see what you do with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am I have an identity crisis because really I'm a CMO CRO. I identify on LinkedIn as a CMO, but really the way that I work is more like a CRO.
There you go.
And I came from the sales side of things, so I really have that understanding of both departments that puts me in more in a CRO space than anything.
That sounds good to me. Whoa. It got very dark where Jeff was.
Oh,
Okay. So, Amy, here's the hypothetical. Okay. You just started with a new company or new client, depending on your setup, right? Sometimes we all go back and forth, but brand new. It's day one. You walk in, right? You're actually on site. You're walking in. What's the dream scenario you're walking into, and what's the nightmare scenario you're walking into on a brand new company?
Mm. On a brand new company, you know,
I mean, you're new
nightmares.
to the company. The company isn't necessarily brand new, but you're new.
Yeah. The nightmare scenario I think would be, oh, they don't have a good communication system going between marketing and sales.
Mm-hmm.
They have uh, almost like a war going on between
Yeah.
the two. Dream scenario is they're whatever they're doing, wherever they're at, they're excited to make adjustments and change for whatever they need to make success happen.
Oh, that's a good one. All right. Good answer. Jeff, hi. Nice to meet you.
hi. Nice to meet you.
Welcome to episode number 2. Jeff, tell folks a little bit about you, and then let's go into the same scenario. Like you walk in brand new, it's your first day, new company, new client, whatever, right? What's the dream and what's the nightmare that you walk into?
So I ran sales for 3 fintech software companies. 2 got to liquidity events. Prior to that, I sold enterprise software for about 18 years. And then last 10 years, I've had a chief revenue officer advisory firm. Dream scenario is walking into a B2B enterprise software company that recognizes they need a fresh perspective on trying to figure out really why they're not making enough money. So that
Right.
that quantifies into, why are we not sustainable? Why are our margins going down? And how do we sustain and then hopefully scale? And the dream scenario includes that the people looking to bring someone like me in, like a CEO or a founder of an investor firm, be it a venture capital or private equity firm, that they also have the wherewithal to recognize the value of someone who does have a good understanding of where to look for the problems and how to fix them. And they can really appreciate that because they're intuitive enough or intrinsic enough to get it. The nightmare scenario, which I think was the second part of the question, is really that same scenario, but where the people who bring you in are doing so reluctantly. They think they've got it figured out, but someone has tapped them on the shoulder too many times to where they think they absolutely have to bring someone in, and you're placated. Nobody really wants you there.
Right.
People
Yeah.
fear for their lives. They don't recognize that you're really there to help and to be a team person, to help them. And to a point Amy brought up, they're making life difficult. Nobody wants to talk to you. Nobody wants to talk to one another. Marketing and sales are not really collaborating. Obviously, the way to do any kind of revenue management change or shift for the better is when you have a marketing lead and a sales lead working collaboratively, and they trust each other and they want to work together and they're open-minded and share information.
Okay, so let's switch to a different scenario then. Okay, so you're the keynote speaker. There's 250 people in the audience. They've all like sort of risen up to the point where they're all purely by coincidence about to start a brand new and their first ever CRO, Chief Growth Officer job. Okay, and so I mean, what a coincidence. Who knew? And so you're talking to them. I'm gonna like over the next couple of 3 sentences, I'm gonna like give you and Amy the lead in for what to say, and then you finish it with like the truth and what your thoughts and opinions are on this. Okay, so you start off by saying, "Look, as a CRO, CGO, starting off in a new company, the thing you're going to be most surprised by first is Jeff what."
That the people who are working for you, whether that's directly working for you or inadvertently working for you, are probably looking to see what you're not doing well versus how you can help them.
Okay. And Amy, how about you? The thing that someone starting their first CRO job is going to be most surprised by is what?
I would say the thing that they'd be most surprised by is really how often business owners and CEOs come in thinking they know what the key performance indicators are, and they really
Right.
don't. They oftentimes are focused on things that aren't going to move the needle and aren't going to actually be effective. And I think finding those places where there's there are missing links, there are missing goals, and actually like finding the goals and drilling down to those with those KPIs are really important.
All right. No, that's good. And so let's extend that a little bit. And so you're talking to these folks, right? And you say, like, as you're talking to various companies on deciding where you're going to land, one thing you should know, many companies just don't understand what?
They just don't understand KPIs.
Yeah. They don't
Many
understand
companies
what to
just
measure and how to measure it.
Yeah, many companies just do not understand KPIs. They don't understand what actually is a revenue driving KPI.
Right.
I mean, I've had a client who he got so locked in on CPC and like what the CPC was that he could not for the life of him let go of that and actually get to the point where he was having a much higher return on his ad spend, return on his investments.
Mm-hmm.
It just was his Achilles heel. He just couldn't do it.
Couldn't shake it. All right,
Couldn't
fair.
shake it.
And then Jeff, as people are looking around, they're going after their first CRO job. What are they going to find that most companies don't get, don't understand, haven't figured out?
I think there's a few things that fall into the spectrum of what have the CEOs and their teams of people that are responsible for generating revenue not figured out. And also the investors don't necessarily get it either, is in order for the success to occur, to the point of KPIs, you really need to have the following pieces in place. Assuming you have a market scope that's literally accurate, which doesn't always exist. So a lot of times product development doesn't matter because the market hasn't really been scoped effectively. But assuming that's perfect, at least in the industry I'm in, this is different for every industry. Right. The focal points that I would want to bring to their attention that they haven't figured out or think they figured out but don't really understand are the corporate messaging. First off, why does anyone buy? Why do they buy from us? Why would they buy from us now? That gets you sorted really on a lot of questions and statements to qualify opportunities correctly. That also helps you figure out your go-to-market revenue planning. Do we sell direct? How much revenue do we need to bring in per quarter, per year? You can get granular per month. Do we need to do that direct? Should we do that indirect through partnerships? Should we litigate those partnerships? What types of salespeople do we really need to hire? Do we just look at the CV? Do we look at what the day-to-day responsibilities are, which is a big trigger for me, day-to-day responsibility? Then on the execution side, do we have a forecasting model that's transparent so that when people are putting deals in the CRM, they're real and they don't slip or they never happen? So do we have a forecasting model that works? I've built one. It's based on transparency, staged events, and then you want to coach and mentor people accurately using what I refer to as situational deal management techniques coupled with a working close plan. That together with a forecasting model and coaching on those to each deal, that enables you to put real deals only into a CRM. And a lot of C-level executives and companies, they don't understand these KPIs or these methodologies, and I've codified it. And so, when I ran sales in companies or when I'm going into companies through my LLC, I am, really focused on these things.
So then, Jeff, stay with me then for 1 second. So let's go into the next and final of the three for this scenario, right? So you're talking to this audience of people who are just about to start their first ever CRO role, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And they're sort of like some interns trying to get you off stage, right? You've been there. It's like, come on, Jeff, music's coming up. It's like the music's coming up, right? We got other people.
Yeah.
And he says, no, I got to tell them one more thing.
No, I wouldn't be that
and
guy.
You tell them this, right?
Yeah.
Pay attention to your 90th day. And as you're looking back on your first 90 days, here's something that you want to make sure you're aware of. What is it?
Listen to people that do anything in the company. Take the time to have lots of conversations with people, and don't assume that you know more than the people that work in the company. Go into an environment assuming that you're there to help people, and you need to listen to the people that are there to help you understand what is working for them and what's not working.
And then, Amy, what do you think? If they're gonna, if you're gonna give them one piece of advice as they look back on their first 90 days, what is it they should make sure that they did or make sure they pay attention to?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I think is a common mistake is when new CROs are working in a space, oftentimes they think that they need to be doing the work themselves. And it's actually far more important that they're making sure that they're delegating properly and that they're delegating to the right people. So I think at that 90-day mark, there's actually a really good opportunity to take that time and say, okay, who's good at what? Who are my rock stars with, this thing or that thing? Is it my, my data tracking team? Are they effectively reporting the things that I need them to? Am I offloading that information? Like, am I having them report back to me, or am I going and doing all of the deep dives on data? Am I getting the information that I need? Yeah.
Okay. So then, Amy, let's switch scenarios, and now you yourself are sort of talking to companies and trying. Not that Amy is. I'm just saying hypothetically, she's looking for like her next thing. Okay. Don't want to scare anyone off. So as you're talking to prospective companies or even prospective clients, if you're going to go out on your own, right? These days, what do you think around the CRO, CGO? What do you think companies overrate and what do they underrate?
That's a good question.
They're all good questions, Amy. I'm very
Yeah, they are. They really are. The thing that I would say gets overrated is spending, especially for smaller businesses, spending money on paid social.
Right. Yeah.
I hate to say it, but I've seen so many companies just throw money at paid social, and it's unless they're really willing to invest, it's just not worth it. So that would be the thing that I would say is overrated.
What do companies still sort of criminally underrate?
You know what? The thing that I think companies are still criminally underrating is the use of GPT models, Claude, all of
Hmm.
the different AI tools that are out there to reduce the amount of uh, like a heavy thought process. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be that hard. You really can implement some of these tools, and they're not that expensive. With a little bit of intelligent training, they can be incredibly effective at generating all of the things that are needed, from anywhere from, like, building out sales pieces to, uh, helping people make proposals to their own clients.
Yep.
So, absolutely using their AI tools.
All right. And then Jeff, what do companies tend to overrate around sales and the CRO, CGO position these days, and what do they still underrate?
Yeah. Uh, I think what's overrated is, I mean, certainly some of the things Amy's alluding to, you know, where to figure out uh, to go to generate leads. I mean, so some of
Hmm.
this social media stuff is a bit overplayed, but I also think more specifically, at least in my industry, enterprise software companies, many do have a challenge with what they're bringing to the market, and have they scoped it, and they think, because a lot of CEOs tend to come out of engineering or corporate finance, they tend to believe that they've got the right product
Hmm.
or they have the right solution or set of solutions for the market. And they might have a solution, but maybe their market is not as wide and large as they think it is, and it's really smaller. So if you start from that vantage point, you got to restructure your whole company, because you might not get to the numbers you're anticipating you would get to. So I think that's what's, in general, I think that's
Overrated.
overrated. I think what's underrated, again, you know, picking up on some of the comments Amy's made here about you know, uh, using certain tools. I would actually go more old school, and I think from an old school perspective, what's underrated is the world that I came from when I was a seller, at companies like Oracle back in the day, and we hammered how to teach people how to do what? Sell.
Mm.
We taught people how to sell. I mean, you were in 2-week classes where, you'd go to some remote location for 2 weeks, and you really got honed in on what questions and what statements do we want to make, and to whom do we want to make them when we're out there in the wild and wacky world of trying to find, cultivate, and win business in forecasted timelines. It's way underrated. Companies, people hire salespeople in these companies, and they say, go sell. You claim you're a salesperson, go make it happen. And you've got no parachute. You don't have a support system. You're walking in to a new environment, a new culture, and they don't provide the kind of collateral and effective coaching to really help you get out there and talk to the people you want spending money. Who do you really need to talk to? There's going to be the decision makers, the influencers, the worker bee
Right.
level folks that run the projects. You've got to talk to everybody and expand your audience. If you sell a widget, don't just talk to the widget buyer, talk to the person who's going to use the widget, talk to the people who care about the widget in a different department. Expand the audience, you expand your deals, you get more traction.
All right. I have one more sort of concrete question, and then I have kind of a tricky question. I'm going to give you guys the tricky question and see how you do. But the concrete question, and we'll start with Jeff. Jeff, so as you're talking, let's say you were looking for like a new client or a new opportunity, right? To go to. What's that as you're talking to companies like for a next opportunity? What's like a red flag for it? Like, yeah, I would not enjoy, switching and going to that place, or when that's a green flag.
Uh, a red flag would be that the people that a red flag would be walking into an environment that uh, has really struggled
Mhm.
to have success, and they don't seem to have any of the real resources or tools or people in place to want to work with you at the very least to help make it happen. And you would really be on an island. Now, in some ways, that's not necessarily a bad thing if you can make it happen, but uh, there would be some red flags on that. Um, I think that would be some red flags.
Mhm.
Also, companies that uh, where the margins really have declined year over year for 4 or 5 years, and uh, there just doesn't seem to be a team environment in place because this is a team sport. Unfortunately, it's
Mhm.
not an individual sport. Um, a green flag. Was that the next one? The
Mhm.
green flag.
Yep.
A go. A go would be, you know, you might have a similar scenario in that things aren't working, but you feel confident that you have the right sort of people you're going to need to work with around you, whether that's marketing, uh, operations, a CEO, product development folks. Everybody's on the same page. Everyone wants to work together. Everyone can articulate where there have been problems, but you can find a way forward from there so that you can turn things around. I mean, I'm a big proponent of turnaround situations, but in order for turnaround to work, you've got to be working with people who are not looking to drill the problems down into the ground. You've got to be, everyone's got to be hopeful.
Right.
And you want to work with people that have that hope. And obviously, the perfect green flag is you have a market scope that looks phenomenal, and you've seen what the potential is in that market because you can look at the quantifiable potential, and you have a game plan on how you're going to get there.
And Amy, let's say, let's twist the sentence, the question a little bit. So, like, someone comes to you, a friend says, "Hey, you know, I'm interviewing around. Like, what's something I should be like wary of, and what's something I should be excited about when I talk to a company if it comes up?"
Yeah. I think if somebody comes and says, I need X, Y, and Z to happen immediately,
Mm.
to me, that's actually a red flag because it indicates that they don't understand the process of sales and marketing. And there
Mhm.
is a certain degree of, yeah, there are short sales cycles, but oftentimes in sales and marketing, there is a lengthy process that is overlooked or underexplained, that CEOs will end up expecting way too much, way too soon. And they either don't want to spend the amount of time that's involved or they don't want to spend the amount of money that's required to shorten the time.
Right.
So,
Okay.
yeah, that would be the biggest red flag
Red
is
flag.
people who want immediate results. And
What's a
then
green flag?
green flag, I would say just people who are looking for solutions, not like drilling down on. I mean, like everybody's got problems.
Mm.
Everyone's got a problem. All like that's why they're coming to us. It's the ones that are unwilling to work on getting to a solution that are red flags to me. So if I'm talking solutions and they keep drilling back to the problem, it's probably yeah,
That's good.
not a good fit. But
Okay.
if they're talking solutions, then yeah, let's go. If they're excited about figuring out how to solve it.
All right. So here's the toughest, by far, I think, the toughest question of all the questions that we're going to do today. It's also our last question. We'll start with Amy. What defines sales in 2025 compared to before?
Mm, what defines sales?
How is it
Yeah.
different?
I would say It's happening in different places than we expected. What
Mm,
I'm noticing is that
interesting.
uh, through the pandemic time, we so much went online that
Hmm.
I'm noticing sales are going way more back into in-person spaces. So the more that people can get in front of people face to face, even at events or uh, any place that they can make that in-person touch, it's really changing things. I mean, I'm even
Interesting.
having door-to-door salespeople show up at my home, and I'm like, "Oh, wow, this is refreshing." Yeah, because I don't want to be sold in all of the digital spaces I'm in. I'm so tired of it, and I'm seeing that happen as more and more larger companies are going to, much more in-person touches because it is effective.
Later in the episode, Amy's going to give out her home address so that every alarm company, magazine
Absolutely not.
company, and Girl Scout knows where to go.
Absolutely not.
And Jeff, how about you? Like, what sort of like defines or is different for selling in 2025 compared to before?
Yeah, so I mean, look, I mean, I came out of college in 1987. Sales back then, I think in general, no matter what you were selling, was a kinder, gentler place. I mean, you could cold call. We weren't cold emailing then. That's
Hmm.
obviously a problem now too. But we were cold calling, and the differences. Bottom line, a high level difference in 2025. Very few people, especially at a B2B level, want to talk to the stranger. They don't want to talk to the stranger. So
Hmm.
when it comes to market share growth, companies struggle because you got to figure out ways to sell to the strangers, unless you are an incredible brand and then people already know about you. But uh, you have to also, if you're smaller companies and you're trying to make a name for yourself, you've got to overcome the stigma of dealing with how do you stand out against all the charlatans that do a bunch of nothing and they come at us and chitter chatter on all these platforms, LinkedIn, text messaging, emails, and all this other stuff. Back then, in the beginning, if you were a stranger and you were persistent, a
Right.
keyword that doesn't seem to have any value anymore, but the persistent person who wanted to try hard and work hard, and whether it was sales or whatever, they're making cold calls to someone. A decision maker actually appreciated the
Hmm.
the ambitiousness and the go-getter mentality of that person reaching out cold.
And in
Today,
2025, what's it like?
2025, you're just like you're like a convict before you're a convict. I mean, you've got no value. Persistence means nothing. It's all about who you know. So it's basically, we've gone into a world of, we're now in this world of revenge of the nerds. You've got to know the right people. You can't make things happen as easily as you could
Hmm.
from nothing, years ago. And that's sad, very sad.
Security's got your LinkedIn picture up on the wall. Whole thing. Yep, got it. Okay, so thank you both. By the way, these were tough questions, and you did great. Both of you did great. And so, who? Let's start with Amy. Amy, who should be contacting you these days, and what's the best way to do it?
I think companies who are looking to uh, shift their marketing and sales from overbloated, um,
Mm.
ineffective teams, and they want somebody who's going to come in with strategy, leadership, and hold their teams to be accountable and actually bring in revenue instead of just being an expense. So, people who are looking to move their marketing and sales from an expense to an investment.
And what? How should they get to you? What's the best way to contact you?
They can reach out to me and leave me a message on LinkedIn. Just
Hmm.
look me up. I think I'm Amy Christine Productions on there, which is kind of hilarious. But hey, they can look me up there or stop by my website and leave me a note, and I will get back to them.
All right. And Jeff, how about you? Who should be contacting you these days with the next great opportunity? Not that you're looking for one. I'm just
Well,
saying. And how?
yeah, it's two people, CEOs of B2B enterprise software
Mhm.
companies who want to make more money. Uh, they've struggled in some ways. They're not really sure necessarily why or how. They want a compelling leader to come in and work with them, teamwork, team effort, someone who can help them get revenue going in the right direction by coaching their sellers, their sales managers, helping them, strategize on building out creative, effective go-to-market strategies and messaging. Someone who's going to work with their marketing team. Someone's going to work with their product development team, and also founders of venture capital and private equity firms who have companies in their portfolios that uh, they they're not sure are going to hit the exits when they anticipate or hoped that they would from the onset of placing those bets, and they feel that they need a fresh perspective, and they want someone to come in who's been there and done it with companies and helped companies get to liquidity events.
All right. And how? What's the best way to get these ones?
Best way is either Jeff Hoffman, Chief Revenue Officer on LinkedIn,
Mhm.
which is Jeff Allen Hoffman. Well, that's my LinkedIn header. But if they just type in
Right.
Jeff Hoffman, Chief Revenue Officer, New York, I should pop up. They could also reach me on my email, which is jeff@jeffhoffmancro.com.
If I didn't know you were in New York, just all the sirens would have told me
Yeah, I
that you were in New York.
apologize for that. It's
That's
just
okay. It's
terrible
normal,
luck.
completely normal.
I
Uh,
mean, it's just really bad luck that the sirens are hitting as we're doing this
well,
show.
no, it's kind of good luck that none of those ambulances showed up at your place. Right? Let's all be like happy that Jeff's healthy. It's like,
Yeah, thank God I'm healthy. That's true.
right on. All right. Thanks, both of you. This has been fantastic. Thanks for watching, and we'll see everyone next time.
Thank
Bye.
you, Dean. Appreciate it. And
Thank you.
nice meeting you, Amy.